Next one is the rotary actuator. Again here, both the configuration, system configuration or the elements, whatever they are used and their functioning will be the same for both hydraulic and pneumatic systems. So now rotary actuators, whenever we say rotary actuator, commonly it means you are able to get the continuous rotation. Whenever you want only partial rotation, then they are specifically called as limited rotation actuators, which means you are having only partial rotation, maybe 270 degrees or 60 degrees or 90 degrees, depending on the requirement. Yeah, now the first one of the rotary actuator is the gear motor. As the name itself indicates, you are having the gears inside the motor and the gears are going to generate the output. So you are having two gears which are in mesh. You are having the inlet port, that will be the larger one because you have to supply high pressure air, and the outlet port you are having low pressure, so the air can escape at a faster rate out of the motor. Now when you are supplying high pressure air, now the output is connected to only one of the two gates. That is important to remember. The output is usually connected to one of the two gates. It is not connected to both. Only one of the two gates, the output shaft is connected from where you are taking the load. So now how does the gates rotate? So when you are supplying the high pressure compressed air through this one, now if the air is trying to escape straight, it is not possible. If the air is trying here and if it is trying to move straight, which means the gears have to rotate like that. This gear will rotate in the counterclockwise direction and this gear has to rotate in the clockwise direction. So when the gears are rotating in this direction, what happens is here the meshing of the two gears happens, which means the air cannot actually escape even though it is trying to push the gears in this particular direction. Then what will happen? So this cannot happen. So air cannot move like that. So the next thing is the air is trying to act on these surfaces, whatever gap is there, it is trying to act. So it can rotate very freely here. So it can rotate, escape and rotate very freely in this direction. So whenever you see, you should understand how exactly the motion is happening. The compressed air is actually pushing here and it is rotating. So whenever rotating in this direction, this gear, and this gear is rotating in this direction, the gears are unmeshing here. So since the gears are in continuous mesh at this particular point, whatever the high pressure fluid is there, it cannot leak onto the low pressure side by a very large extent. So you are having very good efficiency in case of the gear motor, and it can also generate very large torque. The main disadvantage is it cannot be operated at very high speed. So if you are trying to operate at very high speed, the vibrations will be very, very high. So for moderate speeds and for good torque, we can always use the gear motor in both hydraulic systems as well as the pneumatic system. So what are the components? You are having two gears, usually they are spur gears. Then you are having the casing. This is the profile. In both sides of the casing, you are having some flat covers. In the covers, you are having the cavities in which you are mounting the bearings, and the bearings will carry the shafts using which you are trying to connect the motor to the external load. In the gear also, if the width of the gear is more, you can generate more force because on large area you are having a high pressure fluid which is acting, so the power output will be more. So the next type of rotary actuator is the vane motor. Vane is nothing but a thin metallic sheet which is sliding in the cavity of the rotor. So you are having the thin metallic sheet here. This is able to slide. So vane will be in the form of a rectangle. So this is the height and this is the width of the vane, and the length of the vane will be almost equal to the length of the motor. As the length of the vane is increasing, you are having more area on which the compressed air is acting. So you will be able to generate more power, or you will be able to generate more torque. So depending on the width of the vane here, the power output is determined. So now here you are having the inlet side and you are having the outlet side. Question is, what will be the direction of rotation? So if the high pressure air is coming here and it is acting on the surface, or if it is pushed in this particular direction, then what will happen? That is what we have to understand. So now in this particular position, if you are seeing the compressed air is coming here, or compressed high pressure fluid is coming in this direction, it is acting on the vane surface here, it is acting the vane surface here also. Now which side the force is more? There is more force on this area than the force generated on this smaller area. So the vane is present in the rotor casing. This is the rotor. In the rotor you are having slots. In the slots you are having the vanes which can slide up and down. Usually in case of the motor, what happens is you will be having a spring here, which will ensure that the vane is always pressing against the casing. Otherwise, sometimes it can happen that the vane will simply slide it down at the initial condition. Otherwise, another option is whatever high pressure air is coming into the vane, that is going into the center. From the center, that high pressure air is always pushing the vanes outward. It is always pushing the vanes outward. So both the mechanisms are possible. In one system, you are having a spring which is holding the vane against the casing. In another system, the high pressure air will be directed to the center, and from the center, the air is pushing on all the vanes simultaneously and trying to hold them against the casing in order to prevent the leakage of air around the boundary of the vane. So now if you are seeing on this area, there is more area here and there is less area over here. So the rotor will start to rotate in this particular direction. So as the rotor starts rotating direction, you are having more area again developed here than area available here. So you will be having continuous rotation of the rotor shaft. So you are connecting the load to the rotor shaft. So this is the casing. Again, on the end surfaces of the casing, you will be having cavities inside which you are mounting the bearing. In the bearing, you will be having the shaft, and to the shaft, you are connecting the load. So what is the specific feature of this particular vane motor? Now this one is called as unbalanced vane motor. Now question is why it is called as unbalanced vane motor. So now you can see the figure. On one side you are having high pressure, other side you are having the low pressure. So on this entire area, high pressure air is acting, which means you are having forces acting on this direction on the rotor. On this side there is no pressure or low pressure, so there is no force. So effectively, if you are drawing the resultant force, it will act somewhere like that. It will act in this particular direction, which means whatever bearing is there, which is holding this particular rotor shaft, on this side, it will be having lot of wear and tear as compared to the other sides of the bearing. So because of which, over a period of time, the bearings are going to get quickly worn out and you have to replace the bearings. And gradually, as you are using the vane motor, you will be having increased amount of vibrations because of the uneven wear of the bearings that are happening. So that is why it is called as a unbalanced vane motor. Now what is the advantage of this? This is very simple in construction and it can be operated at very, very high speeds. It can be operated at very high speed. The power developed is on a lower side because of the limitation of the thickness of the vane. You cannot have very, very thick vane because it will create its own problems of higher wear on the outer surface. So you will be having very thin vanes. So because of the thickness of the vanes, the power developed by the vane motor is on the lower side as compared to the gear motor, but you can operate it at very high speed. So you will be having port here, inlet port and outlet port to allow the fluid into the motor and to take out the fluid out of the motor. So two connections are required. So unbalanced vane motor, the disadvantage is the bearing will be unevenly worn out. So there will be uneven loading on the bearings and the life of the bearing is less, which means you have to do the periodic maintenance. The next one is the balanced vane motor. So in order to improve the performance of the motor itself, to ensure that it is having less amount of maintenance and to reduce the vibration, you are having something called as the balanced vane motor. In case of balanced vane motor, you are having two sets of ports for inlet and two sets of ports for outlet. So through two ports, the fluid will enter into the casing, and through two ports, the fluid is escaping into the casing. Now both the inlet ports will be on the opposite sides and both the outlet ports will be on the opposite side. Now what will happen? Now if you are taking the shaft here, on the opposite sides you are having the same kind of forces. So the two forces will cancel out and the net force acting on the rotor will be 0. So there will not be any uneven load acting on the rotor of the vane. So the shafts are evenly loaded. So there will be less amount of vibrations during operation. So the speed of operation of the balanced vane motor will be higher than the speed of operation of the unbalanced vane motor. If the advantage is so good, then why it is not used? It is not used because you are having more number of ports, which means you have to make more connections. So the cost of the balanced vane motor will be on the higher side as compared to the cost of the unbalanced motor. Apart from that, the design of the casing is completely different in case of the balanced vane motor as compared to the unbalanced vane motor. Now you can see here, the casing is simply a cylindrical one. The rotor is also a cylindrical one. Their centers are not same. If they are concentric, then there will not be any rotation because area of the vane on one side will be equal to the area of the vane on the other side. So there is no net force generated. The rotor will simply remain static. So because the two cylinders are on eccentric, so you are having large area here and you are having small area over there. So there will be net force generated because of which the rotor can rotate. So machining a cylindrical surface is very easy and we can machine it to a very, very high accuracy. So the cost of the balanced vane motor is on a lower side. Now if you are taking the case of balanced vane motor, the rotor is cylindrical, no doubt. In the rotor you are having slots cut for carrying the vanes, but the casing, it is elliptical or we can say it is oblong, which means it is having two extended profiles here. You are having two extended profiles. The gap between the rotor and the casing is continuously increasing up to a point and then it is reducing. Same is the case on the other side. So now if you are taking the axis of the casing and the axis of the rotor, they will be concentric. So if you are drawing the center line here and you are drawing the vertical center line here, the axis of the rotor and the intersection of the center lines of the casing will be matching. So they will be concentric. But because of the profile of the casing here, you will be having the forces generated, thereby the rotor will start to rotate and it can have continuous rotation. So that is the balanced vane motor. Since the forces on all sides of the rotor are evenly cancelling, there will not be any resultant net force acting perpendicular to the axis of the rotor, because of which the vibrations will be less. But the compressor is acting on the vanes here, that will cause a rotary motion of the rotor. That is what is the output requirement. So balanced vane motor requires multiple connections. These connections can be made externally or in the casing itself you will be having provisions to connect two inlet ports and to connect two external ports. Both the methods are possible. That is about the balanced vane motor. The main feature is it can be operated at higher speed as compared to the unbalanced vane motor. What is the main disadvantage is it is going to be more costly and it is having multiple ports and machining of the casing is going to be, which is needed to be very, very accurate. So overall cost of the balanced vane motor is higher. The power development will be more or less the same as compared with the, now again if you are want to make the comparison, in case of the balanced vane motor, there are having two powers. So at this position and this position you are having the power generation. So this will give better performance. So from two directions you are trying to rotate the output shaft, but in case of the unbalanced vane motor, only power you are applying on here and you are trying to shift it from only one direction. So all these things are trying to influence the vibration characteristics of this motor. So this is the main difference between the balanced vane motor and the unbalanced vane motor.